Hey everyone, welcome to Watercolor Month Day 8. How exciting! Today we're finishing this entire spread and I kind of have an inspiration from this illustration that I have on my desk. I've done this, I think I've done a tutorial for it or not. I'm not entirely sure. Do let me know if you watched it. So here is a more simplistic approach where I just have kind of like rounder, modern interpretation of botanical art. But I thought I will show you something a bit more, maybe easier today. So the stamp sets I'm intending to use today, of course, for the swatches, I'm going to go with the palette swatches. And then I'm going to go with the botanical and we'll show you another way how you can use one of those round petals. So we already had a whole array of different things we could create with these petals, and every time the flower ends up looking totally different. So today I'm going to show you yet another way. And besides these two, I think I might use also the summer florals for leafage. And let's see, I think from the botanical set I might use one of those berry stems here that I like so much. They're just a great contrast. I've used them here and I think I'm going to use them today as well. And the only set that's not available is the florals, and that is sold out, and it's been sold out a few times. But the other three are available, so have a look on Etsy. Alyona Creates. At the moment this is where I'm selling, but soon they will be available on my online shop alyonacreates.com. So I think I'm just keeping it the same for this spread, and for the next spread I will move on to another strip that I can show you. I just like the consistency. I think it always looks kind of well organized, and that's why I'm using the same one throughout this spread. Okay, I'm gonna go with stamping it. I'll stamp it same side as this one here, and if I need an extra color I'll have space for that as well. Let's move on to building our flower. I will select a couple of flowers, or petals rather, that I will turn into flowers. So I want a trio, so I'll probably use, let's see, I'll probably use these three. This one has a bit of a corner here, so it might not work as well. So 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to start with the biggest one. And here I'm not going to, as you can see, it's got a little tip here to make it easier for you to see where the tip of the petal is. But I am not going to ink that. I'm just going to ink everything except for the tip. So either ink the entire thing and then just wipe it, or just ink what you are going to stamp. But I find wiping is much better. It's more precise. So I'm going to wipe this off and think of our composition. Next one. In fact, I'm going to put it behind slightly. Here we go. And then I am going to use the final leaf. The petal rather. Okay, so same thing here, and now let's have a look where I want to wipe it clean. Here we go. Okay, so we've got like a trio here, and these will be not one flower but 3 flowers sitting together. Let's see, I think naturally I would place it here, but I'm gonna change up the orientation slightly. And the other thing I'm going to do is stamp it again, and this time wiping off the last 2 leaves. So it's shorter. We can fit it in because there's less space here than here. And also it looks slightly different. It doesn't look exactly the same as this one. So that's the beauty about it. Okay, I feel like I want perhaps another leafy part, and I'm going to go for this smaller one. Because our flowers are going to be quite simple today, just audition it where you think it would work the best. I'm going to take the smallest part, this one here. So previous was this and that, if you didn't see what I was showing. And we're almost done. You know, sometimes you feel like you want to create something quite elaborate, and sometimes you just want to have something a bit more simpler. So the berries were from the botanical set. So this element right here. And I'm just going to pop them through. Now let's line things out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line out the flowers first. So this one, we're going to do a continued line. So like that. In the center, I'm going to swap to 0.5 and just add these kind of suggestive marks, and I'm going to scale them according to the flower. So slightly bigger where the flower is bigger. If I wanted to, I could make one flower with it, similar as I have it in the sketchbook. So here, for example, it could have been one flower if we just stamped it next to each other. But this way, layering and taking away that pointy line, we're making these circles. Now we're going to line things out, and I'm going to start with the leaves. I was just trying to figure out whether I should do the berries first, but no. I'll do the leaves and then the berries on top. Now I want to show you how I'm going to line out the berries. So let's start with the berry here. I'm going to connect it to the leaves to make sense so it's not floating. And then I'm just going to circle these berries to begin with. We're kind of lining them out. Nice and simple. And then with the 0.5, I'm just going to fill them in. Nice and easy and super quick. And that way they look like they're in the foreground and the flowers are in the background, which I quite like this sort of look. Where it is over the leaves, it might look a little bit complicated, but same thing, just connect it. And then line them out just as you did before. Don't worry if there's just too much going on. It will start making sense once you add colors. So for example here, there we go. So you can see that there's a leaf coming out of it, but you don't need to sort of do any extra work. And you just continue with all the others, connect it first, so it's not kind of hovering in the air. So now let's get ready for our watercolor part. I do like the color palette here as well, so I might get some inspo from that too. So let's start with the super bright one right here. And we've got Opera Pink. I'm just gonna load some of it into here. And loads of water, because if we want things to flow into one another, then I need some... Actually, no, I'm not going to let them flow because they're separated and it may look odd. The other one is more of a loose style, it's a loose watercolor style. So what I may do here instead is just dab in a color into this pink. So let's go with this gorgeous color right here and just let it mix on paper. And then we're going to go back into this pink and this time add some yellow. Like that. I'm also keeping some of the highlights, and now just the pink on its own. I'm trying to avoid these berries because some watercolors might have a level of opacity and that will make the berries lose their contrast, which you could go over when they're dry and add a bit more color if you wanted to. See if I want some of the pink coming through a bit more in this brown looking color. Just add a bit more water. So I think this is looking really bright and gorgeous and vibrant, really nice. I might want to add a bit of this yellow, just kind of like a little dab rather than as much as it was here. And I might want to lift a little touch of it because it's starting to look a bit kind of milky and opaque. And that way we are revealing this beautiful orange. Okay, so this is looking gorgeous now. I do like the look of this. And now let's quickly swatch the colors. So we started with Opera Pink. So we used 3 colors already. Which means that we have 2 more left. If you're new joining in to this series, I am working with a limited color palette on this spread. Okay, so that's our 3 colors. A lovely color palette. It actually doesn't look as bright on the screen because Opera Pink is kind of like a neon color, so we've got a lot of glowy colors here, and on the camera it's never kind of looking the same, but it's looking pretty. So I'm gonna go into my kind of safe color, which is the gold green, and I love it with a hot pink. So I'm just gonna straight out of the pan so that's our green, and now we're going to add a little bit more of a contrast. So let's see, this time I want to mix up something. I just want to see how this color would look. No, that's not a color I enjoy. This one. Yeah, so that could be something. I'm gonna add that into our green gold. Also, I'm going to swap to another brush. So round 3. This is a round 1, and the one I used before was round 3. Actually, no, this color is way too contrasting, so I'm going to add a bit more sub-green, a little bit more of the green gold to it. So I'm going to lift this green and now add the color that is more suitable. Similar with the leaves, I'm also going to go into the yellow and just basically what we've done with the flower, I'm just gonna add this yellow in some of the areas just to break it down, create some interest. Like so. And on the lighter leaves, I'm going to mix up a kind of darker version of what we had. So kind of almost as it is from the pan. And I'm going to add that just in a few areas and half of the leaf. Just look at your leaves and think where you would like to have a bit more contrast, with the things starting to look a little bit one-dimensional. That's our illustration done. I'm going to now swatch out this dark Prussian green. So here we go, day 8, and we are done. Day 8 is probably the most glowing. I thought this one was quite bright here at the tip of the panel, but day 8 is definitely super vibrant. So there you go, a nice spread. And day 9 we'll start a new spread and maybe a slightly new idea. See you tomorrow.